Today is October 1, 2015. I just want to spend a few minutes talking about what I am seeing go on in the world right now. And one of the main points I want to make is how deceived the American people truly are. If you are living in America right now, you are living under a great deception. And the worst part about this deception is the fact of the number of people that don't even realize they are being deceived. They don't realize the evil that is coming out of this country right now. And they don't realize that everything's been reversed, literally, symbolically, figuratively, but even on the world stage, everything has been reversed. America is now the bad guy. The entire world knows it. That's the craziest thing about this. The entire world knows what America is doing, what America is promoting, who America is backing, except Americans. Americans don't know this. And the reason for it is because we are so distracted and there is so much going on. For example, I live here in Southern California, and every day there's a distraction of some sort. There's either a baseball game, there's either a football game, there's either a holiday, there's either some cultural event. There's always something going on that is getting people to divert their attention onto other things. And then what I've seen as a result of that is just how misinformed everybody truly is. So I'm going to give you an example. I've been around a lot of Tea Party type groups, organizations, where speakers come in and they'll speak, or people within the organization itself will speak. And everyone seems to toe the Fox News line on a lot of things. And one, probably the most glaring example, is Syria. You watch the presidential debates, and they always ask questions about Syria, but every question is a lie. They don't tell the truth in any of the questions. I'll watch speakers talk about various topics in these meetings, and Syria will come up, and they'll say stuff like, when we take down Assad, or Assad has to go, and everyone cheers. And nobody even knows what Assad did or didn't do. The last time I checked, and when I said America's promoting all this evil, Bashar Assad and Vladimir Putin and the government of Iran, they are not trying to take our guns. They are not trying to restrict our free speech. They have not physically attacked us. They are not telling us that carbon dioxide is a dangerous pollutant. They are not telling us just the other day that sunlight is bad for plants. They didn't set up this giant police state we have. They didn't set up this big fear state we have where everyone is afraid of everything. There's lockdowns every day for one reason or another. Those countries, they're not trying to get us out of our cars. They're not trying to get us into little apartments. They're not using crony capitalism and fascism to redesign all of our cities nationwide. They're not doing any of that. The American government is doing that. And yet people are in love with this idea of America, not realizing that America is an idea. It is not a country. And we are so far away from that fantasy of what America is supposed to be. And it makes me so sick thinking that nobody realizes that they still think America is the good guy in the world. Iran, Putin and Russia, and Syria are not backing ISIS and then using ISIS to scare America. We are doing that. So here's how the story goes, and here's why Syria is the enemy, according to Fox News. Syria would not build a pipeline that was proposed by other governments. Syria is not part of the international banking system and is an independent nation that can do whatever it wants. It is not part of the New World Order structure that is being constructed right now. That's why they have to go. Because a puppet government needs to be put in place that will go along with the rest of the world government. Syria is friends with Russia and Iran, and by definition, that makes them the enemy. And because Syria is considered the enemy and they are not participating in world tyranny, the U.S. government, Saudi Arabia, and Jordan, and probably a couple others, they set up ISIS. The men came from Saudi Arabia. They were trained in Jordan, dropped off in Syria. The weapons came from Libya. That's what Benghazi was all about. This stuff is all connected. Things like Benghazi are not independent, random events that just happen one day. That was how al-Nusra, the Al-Qaeda group that became ISIS, that's how they got their weapons. So the U.S. government, along with our big buddy Saudi Arabia, sets up this war in Syria that's been going on for probably close to 5 years now. And things are finally coming to a head. Now, this is an older picture. I was talking about this issue probably 2 years ago, and this is the map from back then. And back then, ISIS only controlled about 1/3 of Syria, if not less, depending on how you really break it down. But now we have reached the point where ISIS controls about 2/3 of the country. The capital down here, Damascus, is where Bashar Assad is at, and they're on their last few breaths before the whole country topples over. So finally, Russia, which has been restrained this entire time, has finally started attacking ISIS to defend its ally. The U.S. government is now naked in all of its evil, is now freaking out because Russia is attacking ISIS. Think about that, people. If ISIS is so bad and we're so against ISIS, then why are we not applauding Russia for blowing up ISIS? We are now about to start a third world war, a hot war, because ISIS is being attacked. I thought America was supposed to be fighting ISIS. Well, it looks like the truth has finally come out. And so here's what's going on right now in this very instance of time. We have Syria. Down here we have the Syrian government. They are fighting for their lives. They are being attacked by U.S., Jordan, Saudi Arabia-backed ISIS. Those countries are right here. Russia is now attacking ISIS. So now they're in this spot as well. Iran is also on its way over here. And so what you are seeing is the buildup of a major regional conflict that could turn into World War III. But what's going on in America today? This is what's going on in America. America is not focused on the prospect of World War III. America is not focused on the fact that its own government is freaking out over ISIS being attacked. No, it's focused solely on a shooting that occurred today. Have you noticed that every time there are major worldwide events going on that have major implications, there's always a shooting? Now, I'm not going to speculate on what's going on with this shooting, but I'm going to say this. The only thing I know about the shooting is the 10 minutes I saw them talking about it on the TV earlier today. But without knowing anything else, I could tell you right now that a bunch of people on the internet are going to say that this is fake, that it didn't happen, that it's a hoax. Maybe some will call it a false flag, which means it did happen, but the government was behind it. Either way, this is going on simultaneous to the buildup of World War III. So what do you think is going on? I'll tell you what I think is going on, and that's this. All these different shootings that are supposedly hoaxes and fake, they actually might be fake or hoaxes or whatever you want to call them, but those shootings are done to distract you. Because there's always a major issue going on when these shootings turn up. It's never slow or a dead period. There's always major things going on. So for all you guys who think you're doing this great work by exposing a hoax, you're being distracted. You're being deceived. This whole idea of all these countries and governments and militaries mobilizing into Syria right now, that's what you should be concerned about. Now, I can't do anything about any of that. And the reason why I made this video was because I wanted to document the fact that on October 1st of 2015, all these insane events are going on. Because the world did not end in September, but it turns out October may have been the beginning of the very end.
Another threat that President Obama mentioned was ISIS. Well, who on earth armed them? Who helped to arm the Syrians that were fighting against Assad? Who created the necessary political climate that facilitated this situation? Who pushed for the delivery of arms to the area? Do you really not understand as to who is fighting in Syria?
Let me ask you about what your colleague Rand Paul said about it this morning. He said it's a mistake to arm them. Most of the arms that we've given the so-called moderate rebels have wound up in the hands of ISIS because ISIS simply takes it from them or it is given to them and we mistakenly actually end up giving it to some radicals. Look, things are very... Has Rand Paul ever been to Syria? Has he ever met with ISIS? Has he ever met with ISIS? Has he ever met with ISIS? Has he ever met with any of these people? No. We're going to have a fight because it's patently false. Has Rand Paul ever been to Syria? Has he ever met with ISIS? Has he ever met with ISIS? Has he ever met with ISIS? Has he ever met with any of these people? No. We're going to have a fight because it's patently false. Yeah. But it's not true. I know these people. I'm in contact with them all the time. Right. I'm in contact with them all the time. All right. Let me ask you this. He is not. Yeah. But it's not true. I know these people. I'm in contact with them all the time. All right. I'm in contact with them all the time. All right. Let me ask you this. He is not.